March 1918. The world is at war. In the Atlantic, the United States Navy is stretched thin. Every ship, every crew, every ton of cargo matters. The USS Cyclops is one of the Navy's most capable collier ships. Built in 1910, she is 542 feet long and weighs over 19,000 tons when fully loaded. She is not a battleship. She is not a destroyer. But she is essential. Her job is to carry manganese ore, the raw material that feeds steel furnaces and keeps a war machine running. By February 1918, the Cyclops has already completed multiple transatlantic runs. She is a workhorse. Her commanding officer is Lieutenant Commander George Worley, a veteran of the sea, a man who, by the record, ran a strict and demanding ship. On February 16, 1918, the Cyclops departs Norfolk, Virginia. Her mission: sail south to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, load a full cargo of manganese ore, and return to Baltimore. Simple, routine, the kind of voyage that should generate no headlines. She carries 309 men, officers, enlisted crew, civilian workers, and a handful of passengers, including a U.S. Consul General traveling from South America. The ship is loaded. Some accounts suggest heavily overloaded when she departs Rio. There is one known mechanical issue. One of the Cyclops' 2 engines is not functioning at full capacity by the time she leaves Brazil. This is documented.
The Navy Department deeply regrets to announce that the USS Cyclops, with her officers, crew, and passengers,
on March
must be
4th,
considered lost at
1918,
sea.
the Cyclops makes a scheduled stop at Barbados in the British West Indies. She is seen. She is resupplied. Harbor records confirm the stop. That is the last confirmed sighting of the USS Cyclops. She sets course north, toward Baltimore, into the open Atlantic. She never arrives. After Barbados, the Cyclops maintains radio silence, or attempts radio contact that is never received. Historical records confirm that no distress signal from the Cyclops was ever picked up by any station. No SOS, no final message, no reported sighting by any other vessel after she left Barbados Harbor. The sea between Barbados and the eastern seaboard of the United States swallowed the Cyclops without a word. She was expected in Baltimore by mid-March 1918. Days passed, then weeks. No debris field was found, no life rafts, no bodies, no oil slick, no wreckage washed ashore. For a ship of that size, over half a football field in length, carrying 309 human beings, the silence was incomprehensible. When the Cyclops failed to arrive, the Navy's first assumption was delay, mechanical trouble, a detour, a communication failure. In wartime, ships sometimes ran dark. The possibility of enemy action was immediately on the table. On April 14, 1918, the United States Navy officially announced that the USS Cyclops was missing. The statement, as reported by newspapers of the era, described her as overdue and entirely unaccounted for. The announcement sent shockwaves through the country. Over 300 American servicemen and civilians had vanished in the middle of a war, with no explanation. Families waited. The Navy searched, and the questions mounted faster than any answers could. The U.S. Navy launched what it described as an exhaustive inquiry. Search vessels were dispatched across the probable route between Barbados and Baltimore. The coastlines of the eastern seaboard were surveyed for wreckage. Allied naval commands in the Atlantic were queried. German naval records were examined after the war ended in November 1918. This is confirmed. German U-boat commanders kept detailed logs of every ship they sank. It was standard practice. No German submarine claimed or recorded sinking the Cyclops. No German surface vessel reported engaging her. The investigation also examined Lieutenant Commander George Worley. His background attracted scrutiny. Records from the period indicate crew complaints about his conduct, and questions were raised about his original nationality. Some investigators at the time reportedly suspected deliberate sabotage. These suspicions were never proven. No charge was ever filed. No conclusion was ever officially drawn. By the early 1920s, the inquiry had produced no definitive answer. The Navy's official position, which has never changed, is that the loss of the USS Cyclops remains unexplained. Over a century, several theories have emerged. None has been confirmed. All must be understood as speculation, informed, sometimes compelling, but unproven. Theory 1. Structural failure or capsizing. Some naval engineers and historians have suggested that the Cyclops, loaded with dense manganese ore, may have been structurally stressed beyond her limits. Manganese is exceptionally heavy. One theory holds that if the cargo shifted in rough seas, or if the hull was already compromised, she could have capsized and sunk so rapidly that no distress signal was sent and no lifeboats were launched. This hypothesis is widely discussed among maritime historians, but it remains unconfirmed. Theory 2. Crew, mutiny, or internal sabotage. Given documented tensions aboard the ship and unresolved questions around Commander Worley, some early investigators speculated that internal violence, a mutiny, or deliberate sabotage may have caused the loss. This theory appeared in some early 20th century press accounts. It has never been substantiated by physical evidence. Theory 3. Enemy action. Even though German submarine records showed no claim on the Cyclops, some historians have suggested the records may be incomplete, or that a rogue action went unlogged.
We have examined every
Most modern naval historians consider this less probable, but it cannot be fully ruled out. Theory 4. Sudden severe weather. A violent storm in the Atlantic could, in theory, overwhelm a ship already operating with a degraded engine and a very heavy cargo load. However, no significant storm has been documented on the probable route during that period. This theory is noted, but it lacks direct supporting evidence. What all four theories share, none of them is proven. The wreck of the USS Cyclops has never been located. Without physical evidence from the wreck site, no theory can be elevated to conclusion. The Bermuda Triangle connection should be stated clearly. It is a cultural frame applied retrospectively. The term Bermuda Triangle was not coined until decades after 1918. The Cyclops disappearance is frequently cited in popular accounts of the triangle, but the U.S. Navy and mainstream maritime historians do not treat the triangle as a scientific explanation. It is a geographical label placed on a region where several notable disappearances have occurred, without any confirmed shared cause. Today, the USS Cyclops remains the single largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. Navy history. 309 people gone. More than a century has passed.
Never been found.
The floor of the Atlantic has been mapped in increasing detail. The wreck has not been found.
And the Atlantic has
no debris has ever been officially attributed to the Cyclops. The Navy's official stance has not changed. Cause of loss unknown. The families of those 309 men, most of whom have themselves been gone for generations, never received answers. There was no wreckage to mark a grave. No final transmission to explain. Just a ship that existed one morning in Barbados and simply ceased to exist. The USS Cyclops poses a question that technology has not yet answered. How does a vessel that size, carrying that many lives, in waters crossed millions of times since, disappear so completely? We don't know. And that is perhaps the most unsettling fact of all. If this case has stayed with you, you're not alone. Subscribe, because next episode, we go back into the deep end. A disappearance so inexplicable that the investigators who worked it couldn't even agree on what they were looking for. The answer, or the absence of one, is coming.